Alabama, MoonPie. What started as a basic marshmallow and graham cracker treat eventually became a Mardi Gras tradition. Since 1917, the MoonPie has been the definitive Southern snack. It's a simple construction: 2 graham cracker rounds with a marshmallow center dipped in a thin layer of chocolate. The origin traces back to a coal miner in Chattanooga who allegedly told a traveling bakery salesman he wanted a snack as big as the moon that was filling enough to serve as a meal. While it started in Tennessee, it became the soul of Mobile, Alabama's Mardi Gras. In a tradition unique to the state, thousands of moon pies are thrown from parade floats instead of plastic beads. They've become so popular that adults will literally knock kids out of the way to grab one. Arkansas, cheese dip. Arkansas takes cheese dip so seriously that it hosts an annual World Cheese Dip Championship in Little Rock. While the rest of the country might see it as a simple appetizer, in Arkansas it's a point of intense regional pride and historical debate. The state traces its cheese dip obsession back to 1935, when a restaurant called Mexico Chiquito in Hot Springs first served it. There's a long-standing and often heated rivalry with Texas over who truly invented the dish, but as of now, Arkansas has secured the title. In 2009, the state's devotion was formalized when a local filmmaker produced a documentary specifically to prove Arkansas's rightful claim to the recipe's origin. Once you drag a chip through a bowl of authentic Arkansas cheese dip, you immediately understand why they're willing to fight a neighboring state for the credit. Florida, Pastelitos. In Miami, the definitive snack isn't found in a bag, it's found in the heated glass cases of Cuban bakeries and ventanitas. The pastelito is a flaky puff pastry pocket traditionally filled with guava paste, cream cheese, or savory meats. Brought to Florida by Cuban exiles, these pastries are a cornerstone of the state's morning culture. The key is the layered dough, known as hojaldre, which must be light enough to flake upon impact, but sturdy enough to hold the dense, sweet guava filling. In South Florida, the pastelito is often paired with a cortadito, a strong shot of sweetened Cuban espresso cut with steamed milk. The way that rich, bitter espresso cuts through the sweet, buttery pastry creates the exact combination that turns a simple snack into a lifelong habit. Georgia, pimento cheese. Georgia takes pimento cheese so seriously, they've dubbed it the caviar of the South. It's a deceptively simple mix of sharp cheddar, mayonnaise, and diced pimento peppers. But in Georgia, the brand of mayo and the sharpness of the cheese are heavily debated. When done right, that creamy, tangy combination is completely undeniable. The snack's iconic status was cemented by the Masters tournament in Augusta, where pimento cheese sandwiches on white bread or saltines have been served for decades. It represents the Georgia snack philosophy, taking humble, pantry-staple ingredients and elevating them through tradition and regional pride. You don't need a complicated recipe to create something completely addictive, just the right sharp cheddar and a whole lot of Southern nostalgia. Kentucky, bourbon balls. Kentucky's signature snack is a direct reflection of its 2 biggest exports, bourbon and pecans. Invented in the 1930s, a bourbon ball is a mixture of pecans, butter, and powdered sugar spiked with Kentucky bourbon, then dipped in dark chocolate. The secret here is the curing process. The bourbon isn't just a flavoring, it acts as a preservative and matures over time within the sugar and butter center. Chemically, the alcohol functions as a solvent that prevents the sugar from crystallizing, ensuring a perfectly smooth texture. The sharp, oaky tannins of the barrel-aged bourbon cut through the rich butter fat to balance the dark chocolate's bitterness. This creates a truffle-like snack that's as much about the warming kick of the alcohol as it is about the candy's sweetness. Louisiana, pralines. The Louisiana praline is a distinct departure from its firm, chocolatey European ancestors. And just so we're all on the same page, the correct pronunciation is indeed praline, not praline. Saying it the second way is a dead giveaway that you're a tourist. In New Orleans, a praline is a soft cookie-like disc made from brown sugar, cream, butter, and pecans. Its history is deeply tied to the pralinière, free women of color in the 19th century who sold these candies on the streets of the French Quarter to gain financial independence. The texture is smooth and sugary, melting away in your mouth to leave behind the rich crunch of roasted pecans. Getting that perfect consistency relies entirely on precise temperature control, cooling the boiling sugar at the exact right moment to lock in a deep, buttery flavor you just can't replicate on an industrial scale. Throughout Louisiana, the best pralines are often found wrapped in simple wax paper, sold warm from small boutiques rather than factory-sealed in plastic. Mississippi, Cheese straws. If you haven't picked up on the pattern by now, let's just state the obvious. Southern states really love their cheese. Mississippi is no exception. Their iconic cheese straws prove that the best snacks are often born out of pure resourcefulness. They originated as a way to use up leftover biscuit dough, which was kneaded with sharp cheddar and cayenne pepper, then pressed through a cookie press into ridged strips and baked until crisp. Those signature ridges are intentional. They create extra surface area, ensuring the dough gets perfectly browned and crunchy in the oven. The result is a savory, shelf-stable snack that bridges the gap between a cracker and a cookie. In Mississippi, they are the universal guest food, served at everything from weddings to funerals. While many make them at home, the Yazoo City-based Mississippi Cheese Straw Factory helped turn them into a statewide industry, transforming a simple leftover recipe into a core part of the state's culinary identity. North Carolina, Lance Nabs. In North Carolina, the term Nabs is used as a generic way to describe any peanut butter cracker sandwich, but it specifically refers to those made by the Lance Snack Company in Charlotte. Since 1913, these bright orange salted crackers with a dense peanut butter filling have been a regional staple. The orange color of the cracker is a legacy of the baking process and the use of paprika-based seasonings. The paprika is really just there for that iconic look, leaving the real draw to the texture, a sharp, salty crunch that gives way to a thick, creamy peanut butter center. While Lance has expanded nationally, a true local favorite is the combination of Nabs and Cheerwine, North Carolina's famous cherry soda. It's a snack built for portability, originally sold in 5-cent packs to workers in the state's textile and tobacco mills. Today, they're tossed into kids' lunchboxes and grabbed off gas station shelves throughout the country. Oklahoma. Fried pies. In Oklahoma, the fried pie is a handheld tradition that dates back to the state's early ranching and settler history. These are half-moons of pastry dough filled with fruit, typically apricot, peach, or cherry, and deep-fried until the crust blisters. The science here is in the dough. To withstand deep frying without becoming greasy, the pastry must be thicker than a standard baked pie crust. It also has a higher fat content. This creates a crispy, crackling pastry shell that gives way to a dense, jammy center. It's a fried dough masterpiece that makes a McDonald's apple pie taste like a cheap, mass-produced knockoff. Forget the drive-thru. In Oklahoma, the best fried pies are still found at roadside stands, and they're definitely worth pulling over for. South Carolina. Boiled peanuts. Designated as the official state snack in 2006, boiled peanuts are a staple of South Carolina's Low Country region. Raw, green peanuts are boiled in heavily salted, and often spiced, water for several hours. The process completely transforms the peanut's anatomy. The shell becomes soft, and the nut inside takes on a texture similar to a cooked bean, tender, briny, and earthy. Because the boiling process infuses the flavor through the shell, the snack is as much about the salty juice as it is about the peanut itself. The culinary roots of this method trace back to enslaved West Africans, who introduced the boiling technique and fundamentally shaped Southern food culture. Today, boiled peanuts remain a seasonal tradition that peaks in the summer and fall during the peanut harvest. South Carolinians love them because they're a messy, hands-on snack that's inherently communal, meant to be cracked open and shared out of a paper bag at tailgates, porch gatherings, and local festivals. Tennessee, the Goo Goo Cluster. Invented in Nashville in 1912, the Goo Goo Cluster was the first combination candy bar in the world. Before its debut, candy bars were typically solid chocolate or simple nut and sugar blends. The Goo Goo changed the industry by layering caramel, marshmallow nougat, and roasted peanuts inside a milk chocolate shell. The secret to its texture is the manufacturing process, specifically the puddle method. Because the Goo Goo isn't pressed into a rigid rectangular mold like a typical candy bar, it doesn't need heavily processed ingredients just to hold its shape. Instead, the marshmallow and caramel are dropped into a soft mound, allowing them to stay incredibly tender and sticky before being coated in chocolate. It's a rich, chewy classic that's been a Nashville icon for over a century, defying national trends toward uniform, machine-pressed bars. Texas. Buc-ee's Beaver Nuggets. In Texas, the definitive road trip snack comes from a travel center with a cult following. Beaver Nuggets are puffed corn kernels coated in a heavy brown sugar and butter glaze. While they look like standard caramel corn, Beaver Nuggets are actually extruded corn. The high heat and pressure used during the extrusion process create a light, airy structure that dissolves quickly on the tongue. This is then double-coated in a buttery glaze that hardens into a glass-like shell. It's the perfect answer when you're craving something sweet, balancing a light, melting texture with a satisfying, sugary crunch. Beaver Nuggets didn't become legendary just because of their taste. They're famous because they represent the whole Buc-ee's experience, a giant gas station with over 100 gas pumps, famously spotless bathrooms, and a Texas barbecue station right in the middle of the store. When you walk past an endless wall of beef jerky, fresh fudge, aisles of random home goods, and that grinning beaver mascot plastered on everything in sight, grabbing a giant bag of nuggets is just the mandatory souvenir you take back to the car. Virginia Diner Peanuts. The southeastern corner of Virginia is the heart of American peanut production, and the Virginia Diner in Wakefield has been the standard bearer since 1929. They use extra-large Virginia peanuts, the largest variety grown, representing only the top 2% of the harvest. These peanuts are far too good to be ground into peanut butter. The Virginia variety is prized for eating whole. What sets these apart is the blister frying process. The peanuts are soaked in water and then oil roasted in small batches. The moisture in the peanut creates tiny steam pockets that blister the surface as it fries, resulting in a unique, airy crunch that can't be replicated by dry roasting. Virginia took that same legume South Carolina simmers soft and sent it the opposite direction, dried and fried into a crisp snack instead of a warm, briny one. A different planet entirely, and every bit as good. The South might have cornered the market on pimento cheese and fried pies, but if you head up the coast, the snack game changes from savory comfort to historical sugar icons. Be sure to check out our next video to see what the Northeast has to offer.